Okay, we're going to now talk about circles. Well, a circle is a set of all points in a plane that are equidistant from a given point called our center. And the line segment that joins our center to any point on the circle is called the radius. By the way, as a side note, a line that touches a circle at one point is called the tangent. I know lots of girls that like tangents, especially when they see them on the beach. Okay, so as we look here, here's the general equation of our circle. X minus h all squared plus y minus k all squared equals r squared. The h and the k represents the center. The r represents our radius. So we're going to use that to write the equation of our circle here. We'll go x minus the x coordinate of our center, which is 2, all in parentheses squared, plus y minus the y coordinate of our center, equals our radius, which is 7, all squared. So we're going to do a little bit of simplification. We can't do anything with the x parenthesis. That's going to stay the same. But with the y's, we have y minus a negative 5. So remember, that's really y plus 5. In our parentheses, all squared. On the right side, that's really just a 49. So that's the basic idea of circles. However, let's go ahead and look at this one here. Here we're given the endpoints of our diameter, and we need to find our center. Well, endpoints of our diameter, we need to find the center. Well, that's just the midpoint. So we're going to take our two x's, add them together, divide by 2. Take the two y's of our 2 points from the endpoints of our diameter, add them together, divide by 2. We add these x's together, we get 4, divide by 2, we get 2. Add our y's, we get 6, divide by 2, and we get 3. But also for the equation of a circle, we need to know the radius. Well, that's where we just have to use the distance formula to the rescue. You could also use trial and error, guess and check, but I wouldn't recommend that. Just use the distance formula. So we're going to start off. We're going to take our center, and you can choose whichever endpoint you want. Does not make a difference. So all we're going to do is just subtract the two x coordinates. This x minus the x coordinate up here. Then we're going to take our y coordinate up here minus our y coordinate down here. And by the way, the order in which you subtract with the distance formula doesn't make a difference because of the squaring. So we get 0 here, we get 5 squared here. So we get 5 squared inside of our root, and take the square root, we get 5. Now that we have our center and we have our radius, we can plug it into our equation for a circle. So go x minus the x coordinate of our center, all squared in parentheses, plus y minus the y coordinate of our center, all squared, equals our radius squared. Now, suppose you're given the equation of a circle and you're asked to graph it. Well, first of all, you got to figure out where's the center. So we take a look here and go, it's the opposite of what's after the x, opposite of what's after the y. So there we go. There's our center. So we'll plot that over here, 4 to the right, 2 down. Now, this 4 over here is r squared. So to figure out r from r squared, you have to take the square root of that, and we get 2. So all we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and plot this out. We have our center. We'll go 2 to the right. We'll go 2 up. We'll go 2 to the left. We'll go 2 down, and then we'll sketch in our circle. And we'll sketch this in. And by the way, I have a nice tool that allows me to get my circle looking very, very nice. Now, keep in mind your circle is supposed to go through all those key points you put around there. Evidently, my grid is not squarish and it's elongated, but it's supposed to go through all of them. Now, here we have an equation of a circle. And we need to go ahead and get it in the proper form so that we can go ahead and find the center in the radius. Well, to do that, you have to complete the square with the x's and you have to complete the square with the y's. So we're going to start off by just grouping the x's together, grouping the y's together. Now, if we had another normal number called a constant added in here, we'd have to take that to the other side. So we'll go ahead and complete the square with the x's. So we need to take half of the 8, which is 4. Then we have to square that, and that's what we add. But if we add it here, we also have to remember to add it on the other side so that it remains a balanced and equal equation. Complete the square with the y's. We take half of this, square it, add it on the left, so therefore you have to add it on the right. Then you can come back and you can factor the x's. X's will factor into two identical parentheses, which you could write as 1 all squared. So you're going to go, what's being squared here is an x. Take a look at the first sign, which is plus. What was being squared here? That's a 4. So that's what we put in the end. So it's really an x plus 4 and an x plus 4, which we write it as an x plus 4 all squared. We do the same type of thing with the y's. What's in the beginning that's being squared is y. What's at the end that's being squared is 3. And take the first sign. Right-hand side, we have a 16 and a 9, which is 25. Now that it's in the proper form, we can go ahead and write our center, which is the opposite of what's after the x, opposite of what's after the y. And then we take a look at our 25 and say, oh, well, that's r squared. If r squared is 25, we have to take the square root of both sides. We get r to be 5. So why don't you guys go ahead and try to do this one on your own. So pause the video and then play it after you get done working it out. So we're going to group the x's together. We're going to group the y's together. We're going to take our constant on the other side. So we're going to take this negative or positive 4 to the other side, and it becomes a negative 4. Completing the square with the x's, we got to take half of the 9, which is 9 over 2, and then we have to square it. So I'm going to put it there. But if I add it on the left side of the equal sign, I also have to add it on the right side of the equal sign. Looking at the y's, I take half of the 8, which is 4, but remember I got to square it. If I add it on the left side of the equal sign, I got to add it on the right side of the equal sign. So, factoring the x's into two identical parentheses, what's being squared in the beginning? It's x. Take the first sign. What's being squared here at the end? Well, it's a 9 over 2 that's being squared. So I put a 9 over 2 at the end. Do the same thing with the y's. What's being squared in the beginning? Y. What's being squared at the end? 4. And then take that first sign after the y squared. Right side, you can just plug that into your calculator, work it out if you want. So now that it's in the proper form, we can go ahead and figure out our center. Opposite of what's after the x's, opposite of what's after the y's. And then this 129 over 4, that's r squared. So we'll go r squared equals 129 over 4. All we have to do is solve that. So we go and take the square root of both sides. We're only concerned about the positive root because we cannot have a negative r. So we take the square root of the top over the square root of the bottom. The square root of 129 does not simplify. However, the square root of the bottom does. Now keep in mind, if the bottom did not simplify, you'd have to multiply by a special form of 1 to get that root out of the bottom.